What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 249. It is a fantastic Sunday here on this lovely gaming week, and we are back as always with your weekly show covering the biggest topics in gaming with industry, technical, and legal insight. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, joined by the full cast of characters today and an extra because I think Dan, Mr. Rodriguez, good morning, sir, has his new buddy with us.
I got him. All right, here he is.
Where is he? There he is.
He's not going to last long.
Like, no, he's putting his head down. He's like, yeah, I don't want to be on this show.
He's already eating my cord. So it literally started off. This is Loki. We just got him Wednesday. And
Loki's a bold name for a dog, my friend.
Dan, you're not supposed to reveal that his name is Loki until the very end, after exhaustive adventure up a mountain with him.
Yeah, that's true. I should have done it at the end, but yeah, he is here, and I am ready to go.
It's fully half the Bitcast with pets named Loki in their house.
What? You have one too?
You also have a pet?
Do you?
Wow.
I didn't know that.
You guys are just like basic. You're just so basic. Like, I have a pet named Loki. It's like, bro, next you're gonna tell me that you have kids and stuff. Like, just like get a life, you loser.
My son named him. This is my son's dog. He just happens to be at work at the moment. I also have a Bean who's laid down, sprawled next to me. So
a Bean and a Loki.
A Bean and a Loki.
There you
go. Yep.
Hey.
Ready to go, man.
Well, good to have you back. I heard the trip was fantastic. Glad you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, it was something for sure.
This is yet another point in Team Travis. Don't go on vacations. Don't
go on vacations with your in-laws. Is the especially when they can't. When one of them.
Don't get him started, Travis. Don't get him started.
He just goes.
I'll take the W. This is for Team 7 Day Work Week right here. I'm gonna take the win where I can find it.
I literally started in New York City and said, "Hey, let's all stick together. This can get a little bit crazy." Literally, we get out of the airport, and my father-in-law has wandered off talking to a tour bus driver, just like 100 yards away. And I'm like, "Our bus is here! Run!" And it was like that pretty much most of the time. And
nice.
Yeah, I was basically the Google Maps guy trying to figure out where we were going, and it was exhausting. But,
yeah, that's a job in and of itself. I'm good, thank you. I agree with Travis on this one, 100%.
Yeah.
But Travis is here, dapper as always, sir. Although I don't know the black striped tie on the blue shirt. I don't know if I'm digging it this week, man.
This is navy blue. This is navy blue.
Yeah,
navy blue.
I don't know.
Striped tie on a light blue shirt. That's color coordination, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. Been playing lots of games and working on reviews. I'm doing what I love in life, so that's all that matters, right?
That is all that matters,
right, yep. Boys?
Yes. Let's get it.
We're off to a roaring start, and of course, of course, Hoeg is here, filling out the panel. How you doing, man? Good morning.
I'm good. Barely here. Yeah, I had to rip myself away from Zelda. Kingdom is crying. Yes.
The kingdom is crying. No playing during the show. You've got 90-minute hiatus.
McClunky Hoeg.
Well, yes, we're going to be talking obviously about Zelda today. Actually, funny enough, it was a pretty quiet week in terms of gaming news. So talk about some of the rumors coming up, kind of a topic of top 10 games, that was going around that I want to discuss with you guys. Obviously, Hoeg and Travis can talk to us about Zelda. I have not played it. A couple other small things. First, of course, if you're here in America with us, obviously, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Wives, moms, anyone, doing the things that we appreciate so much for their support and love and everything else. So I know we have quite a few that join us every week here on the show. So happy Mother's Day to you. I hope you're having a great day. And,
yes, many of us on the Bitcast were born of a mother.
3 out of 4. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Out of a tube. It's true.
It's a pretty good ratio, really. It's majority. But anyway, prototype. Yeah. Can we get 1.0 yet? Prototype's not working for me.
He broke the mold.
They ended the trial. Yeah.
Like, this isn't worth it. We're done with this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But anyway, And then just a quick shout out. I'll shout it out obviously at the end too. But next week is Bitcast 250. We're going to do another special trivia show that seemed to go over pretty well last time. People had a good time. So we've got a few guests coming on next week from around the gaming community. Different guests from last time, but good friends of ours and people that have been on Bitcast in the past. And they'll be joining us. And this time, Mr. Tie Guy is hosting. So he will be our game show host. I get to just shut up and answer questions. And, we'll see what questions he comes up with. He was pretty big at making fun of mine. So he better be prepared.
Yeah, they were extremely trivial, which is the point. So I'm excited to ask even more asinine questions that no person could reasonably be expected to know.
Fair. Very fair.
Should be fun.
So, yeah, it should be a good time. But anyway, boys. So before we get to Zelda, we've got the Diablo server slam going on this weekend. We've got Star Wars still sitting out there. What you guys been up to?
Zelda. But you know what? Not just Zelda. Really,
Zelda didn't
guys?
come out till Friday, though.
Yeah, exactly. I've been playing Resident Evil 4. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons. I've been playing Doom or not Doom. Whoops, Diablo. Close. Diablo. The server slam. There's been lots of stuff, guys, out there, but most importantly, Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, I was rolling a Breath of the Wild playthrough into Tears of the Kingdom.
So you literally just Zelda.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. I didn't realize you were...
How does it compare? Tell us about that journey.
How does it compare? I mean, it is interesting. Tears of the Kingdom is like 3 times as big as Breath of the Wild, and the powers are more powerful. So it is interesting to think Breath of the Wild, which outside of Ains, I think a lot of us think is a very, very good game, has been eclipsed
good game.
Pretty summarily by this new game that just does more and better. So, I mean, I think it's interesting to play them right next to each other because at least the one map in Breath of the Wild is the same. You can see how they built Tears of the Kingdom, but I think it's great to have a sequel video game that is like a sequel in movies or another season of television where you get to go and revisit places and see how they've changed. And I think video games have lost that too often, honestly, which is that it has to be new every time, has prevented that kind of growth or seeing a world progress. And I think Tears of the Kingdom does that to some extent. Now, I do not think Tears of the Kingdom is perfect. I'll talk about that a little bit, but I have been enjoying it a lot.
Man. Well,
I guess
I've been playing Star Wars.
Yeah. I guess we're just getting into Zelda.
I don't know if we're going to go that far. I got back. I got to play a little bit of Star Wars before I left. And then I got to play more of it. I played like an hour of Zelda, man. That's about all I played so far. I've just been trying to finish Jedi Survivor, and I think it's awesome. I think I've been playing with the performance mode. It's been pretty good. There are definitely problems, but for the most part, it's weird because it all depends on where you are, how many enemies there are. If you're near water, you're pretty much screwed. But
yeah, weird things make it slow down.
Yeah, it's just kind of odd. So, but for the most part, that's all I've been playing. And of course, Hitman. Just want to shout out IOI for releasing the new May patch that is basically killing the game. I'm now on the Destiny 2 train with Travis, but in Hitman, they're going backwards. I'm not sure why they're doing some of the stuff they're doing, but
there are people on the Destiny train right now. I didn't even know that game was up and operational.
Well, the old Destiny train.
Barely. It is limping along as far as we can tell.
Yeah, my son said the same thing about it. He's like, there's not.
Yeah, explain that, Travis. What's actually going on here?
Yeah, I can explain that. And I have been playing Destiny this week. So yeah, it's a Guardian Games for those who don't know, a seasonal activity is happening right now. Destiny has become increasingly buggy in the past year plus, probably more than 2 years, and also increasingly unstable. This culminated in them firing their head of QA fairly recently at the team, which happened unfortunately very publicly on Twitter. And the game is extremely unreliable at this time. And there's a number of factors going into that. One is that Stadia was how they did a lot of their QA post-COVID in their work from home model. And that platform is now gone. And so that has made it difficult for them to troubleshoot. And also from the talks I've had with people working at Bungie off the record, is that the work from home model makes QA pretty difficult, and they're struggling to keep things working. And it has happened extremely publicly because it's a live service game. So everybody sees all the bugs, and every time they roll out a patch, they break about 50 different things, and then they have to release known bugs list that is so long it touches almost every part of the game. In some cases, literally every part of the game. And it's made the game extremely difficult to play. It's got errors all over the place, people getting kicked, the server getting taken offline, and then the maintenance
Warlocks randomly celebrated.
Yeah, Warlocks randomly celebrated was one of them. It also has been removing all progress from people's profiles, deleting all their characters, and bringing them back to that. Though that's rare, and when it happens, they fix it for those people. Like they are able to back it up somehow, but it still is doing crazy stuff that is making certain people be like, all right, well, on Tuesdays when they roll out patches, I am not playing the game that entire day, because often they break the entire game and then it takes them a full day to get it back up and running. And then when it does get back up and running, it has a whole bunch of new issues. And so it's been very hard to watch in the Destiny community. Luckily happening at a time where not a ton of people are playing, but next week is the beginning of the next season, and or is it next? I think it might be the week after. But either way, it's coming up close, and it's making people a little worried about this high-profile content launch when the game is barely operational. So,
let me ask
it's crazy.
You this. Do you think so? This is there is a Hitman community, much smaller than Destiny. That there's some people out there saying that a lot of these updates and the things that they're doing to fix the game or change just random things is because that they basically have moved on to their next project, and they kind of have like the B team kind of going back and just taking care of whatever is left. I mean, granted, I think they've done a great job with Hitman, because I wasn't expecting like the whole freelancer update and all that stuff. So it's basically free content. But a lot of the Hitman community is blaming IOI for, basically shifting all their resources to 007 now, and we just basically get, you think there's any, that's kind of happening over there at Bungie, or?
Absolutely. So I wrote a 3,000 word op-ed about exactly what's going on at Destiny, and it at least so far has not seen the light of day at IGN. So hopefully eventually it'll be
I know a site that'll publish it.
Yeah. How much do they pay? There are numerous problems that I think are a thing with Destiny, and I think it's probably true for Hitman as well, Dan, which is at Bungie especially, I think that a brain drain is going on. They were acquired by Sony not too long ago, and Sony has ambitions to release 10 live service games by 2026, and I think that they included bonuses to people who stick with the company after the acquisition, so specifically so that they can pick talented people out of that studio and put them on other projects. So I think that's happening. I think Bungie is working on at least 2 games that aren't Destiny. One is, we know, is a multiplayer like hero shooter type game, and another one's a mobile game that I think takes place in the Destiny universe. I'm not sure about that. So they're doing that. They're focusing on other stuff, and I think they thought they had Destiny down pat, and then a lot of stuff happening during COVID and the work from home situation is making that more difficult. But they definitely are experiencing high turnover, as most companies are during this whole great resignation period, where people are proving that they don't mind changing jobs freely and quickly if they find a better opportunity, which I think is healthy, but it's hurting this particular project. And my guess is Hitman's probably suffering from some of the same macro issues that lots of people are suffering from right now.
Halo's the same way.
Yeah, and you can see it in lots of games that are specifically based out of America, because America is sort of the country that's decided that, post-COVID, they're just going to completely change the way that they do work. And I think there are logistical issues with working on a creative project and doing that. And you can see it in the end results. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom comes out, Japanese made game, and has basically no problems, is super well fleshed out. And then you get games like Jedi Survivor that should have been fleshed out but weren't. And
those are not. That's apples and oranges. Come on.
I mean, but you can go down the list. I mean, American made games right now are buggy.
Yeah.
Go down the list, like literally.
No, Diablo's pretty good.
Fair. Diablo's pretty good. Fair.
Yeah. Although, I mean, yeah, but I get your point. We've talked through that, right? There are certain situations happening in our industry, probably to your point, a little specific to our country, that are causing some developmental issues. So, like I said, Halo's in the same spot. They just, between contractors and resources leaving, and people firing, is just not in a great place, and it's frustrating for people who enjoy those games. So. But Dan, it was time for you to move on from Hitman anyway,
It is. I mean, I'm still grinding to level 100, which takes freaking forever.
Wait. There's a level in that game you haven't reached?
There's several levels I haven't reached. I'm not like, the best in the world by any means. Freelancer has levels 1 through 100. So.
Okay. I got you.
I'm at like 78, and it's just a very, very slow grind at this point.
I got you.
They've taken out like a lot of items from different maps that kind of make certain situations harder, and it's weird what they're doing. Like there's on the PC, like if you fail the mission where you're still alive and but you failed your parameters, you can Alt F4, which basically shuts the game down, and they've removed that. Or actually, they haven't removed that. If you do it now, you basically fail the mission. So people were basically using it to. I mean, It's kind of a cheat, but I understand what they were doing. But I don't care, because I think that game has brought me more, content and joy. So I mean, it's fine. Go on to
your money's out of Hitman.
100%. Yeah. And then some. It was crazy. So I'm not going to hold them too accountable for that kind of stuff. I mean, I understand.
You've also gotten my money out of Hitman, Dan.
I might have got all of it out of Hitman and most of the chat.
I think mine as well. Yeah.
Yep. That's all I've been playing, though, guys.
Well, I think we might as well talk about Zelda then, because I do have some questions for you guys. And it's obviously, far and away the biggest game this week and probably the year. There's some other big contenders still coming, but it's hard to think that anything's going to top this one, at least critically. So funny enough, and let me put the super chat up, because this is one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys about Zelda. Is Alex is reviewing. This is Alex. He's reviewing Zelda for us. He's been playing it for SG. He's reviewing it, and $5 super chat. And he says, "I've always been a Breath of the Wild is real good, but a tad overpraised. With Tears of the Kingdom, I'm playing the game telling people. I'm playing the game people tell me Breath of the Wild always was. It's astonishing." And we were talking in our Discord about this. He basically was saying that, reflecting on Breath of the Wild now, it looks like kind of their first swing at an open world kind of adventure, whereas Tears of the Kingdom, they've taken the time. Like Tears of the Kingdom basically is the game that Breath of the Wild got praised to be.
It's an Assassin's Creed type jump.
Yeah,
like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's good to hear.
Yeah, so, I would
thank you, Alex.
That. Yeah, I would agree with that statement, and I think some of us on the show have said that while we like Breath of the Wild, I know I include myself in this, we wouldn't have given it a 10 out of 10, and I think, right. I'm not reviewing Tears of the Kingdom, but I think it comes much, much closer to being worthy of a 10 out of 10 than Breath of the Wild did for me. But yeah, I think the reason Breath of the Wild feels like their first swing at open world is because it was. And
sure.
It was a really good open world, and I think it importantly came out at a really good time for the Switch, which was that we were still seeing what the Switch was capable of, and it was shocking that it was capable of Breath of the Wild. Now we know that it's capable of that. We know what is involved in an open world RPG for Zelda, and I think that it's on them to amaze us with the stuff that they the stuff that we didn't think could be a part of Breath of the Wild, and they did that amazingly. They threw out all the old rules of Zelda and gave us a fresh bag of new ones, and the bag of new ones is so different from what we saw in Breath of the Wild. I'm actually shocked at what the type of game Tears of the Kingdom is, because I did not watch anything for this game. I didn't keep up. I knew I wasn't reviewing it, so I had no obligation to like watch the trailers or whatever. So I had no idea the direction they were going in, and so I just went in cold to Tears of the Kingdom, and I was like, I played it. It was 9 p.m. my time was when it came out on the Thursday night or whatever. I happened to be on a plane coming back from Seattle, and I was giggling like loudly, on the plane, just like playing this game and like going like, what? This is crazy in that tutorial area.
By the way, if I'm on a plane and Travis is near me giggling, I think my plane's going down.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people thought that. People was getting some looks. They were like, what is this guy doing?
By the way, this is where I remind you that Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game.
Yes, you can tell. I mean, you can tell, especially because Tears of the Kingdom is doing a few graphical things that Breath of the Wild didn't try. And that appears to be the generational difference, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I agree with what Travis is saying. The only difference is in time, which is I think I'm on video on this show saying that when they did their first gameplay demonstration about a month ago, that's when I decided to pre-order it. That's when they kind of showed off what they had in mind,
right?
Powers and everything. And so that's when I think when most of us came to the understanding that Tears was trying to be something real different. But yeah, if you discovered that on a plane, I think that's still fun too. So yeah, it is, however, one area where I think I'm not quite as sold, and I was before I played the game. So I really enjoy this. Tears of the Kingdom is great. I'm loving it. But one of the powers specifically, which is the building power, the Fortnite power, whatever you want to call it, they call it Ultra Hand, is susceptible to puzzle solving that is physics oriented and in a way that I don't find terribly satisfying. This is what I would call the Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts problem. So
I was going to ask about that. So go ahead, and then I want to ask a question. Go ahead.
Sure. So I was in a shrine for maybe 90 minutes yesterday that I called the Pinball Shrine, which I tweeted out about saying freaking Pinball Shrine, which after you get a chance to look at the room and the shrine itself and see what parts are available to you, you have to figure out what you're doing with it. And in this case, you're going to be playing pinball. But because it's all physics oriented, it doesn't mean that you can solve it just by solving it mentally. Like, you have to make a flipper, you have to hit it with timing. The thing can still fly apart. It can still do weird stuff. It can still do these kinds of things in the game. And I don't love that kind of looseness. I really like Zelda to be very, tight is probably the wrong word, but like that the puzzles are very, okay, so I have to flip this block and this hits this switch and this hits this switch. Mm-hmm. This ladder comes down and we do all this stuff. But now Tears of the Kingdom is a much more loose Minecraft, Fortnite building experience that to me isn't quite as satisfying as the kind of, this is the puzzle the designers designed and here's the solution that you figured out.
Yeah.
It does mean that it's open. You've got 13 different ways to think about these things. But because they've added this looseness, it means you can have solved it. You don't need to make a flipper. And because it's too high on the mount or too low or whatever, the ball isn't going where you need it to go. And so you haven't solved it because you haven't hit the ball where it needs to be.
So you're making me panic. Well, not panic because, I don't really care too much. But when I'm seeing all these clips, right, and all these videos of exactly what you're saying, and wow, you can create this and do this. And the question I was going to have for you guys, the main question today, and it's funny you bring up nuts and bolts, because I was going to bring up nuts and bolts because I remember when that game was launched by Rare, and it may not be a great analogy one-to-one, right? But I do remember when that game was launched, it was like, it's everything you love about Banjo-Kazooie, except now you can build and do it how you want. And to me, that's a turnoff. That's like, I don't want to build. I want you to design the game for me to play. It's like Fallout 4. It was like, it's Fallout 3, but now you can build and do I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. Do I have to do that? Like that. That's not what I like in a game. So what I was going to ask you guys is, the way you're describing it, Hoeg, it sounds like the question I was going to ask is, do you have to, or is it like optional? Like, can you play around with all this stuff for fun and kind of complete things the way you want to? But there is like a dedicated path you can do that you don't have to do this, or does the game require that you kind of figure it out as part of its core gameplay loop?
So some of the shrines are building shrines, just like some of the shrines are combat shrines. But in general, the world is organized around this notion that you can build stuff. So they've added like material caches around the world. But do you have to engage with it heavily? No, but you're going to want to, because you can mess with and sequence break all over the place with building things and doing all sorts of fun stuff. It's just that it is looser for things that need to be puzzle solved. So like in a shrine, in a dungeon room, whatever it might be, if that's a mechanic where you have to build something, I don't love how the physics kind of mandates whether it succeeds or not more than the fact that you mentally solved it.
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
But it's excellent. I mean, even early on, I wanted to complain a little bit about it being fiddly. You have to rotate things across different axes. And one of the things I was having trouble figuring out was that you had to really orient the object in your Ultra hand a specific way in order to vertically flip it. Because what it's trying to show is it's always vertical across the axis that you're looking at it at, which is hard to explain just talking with you. But it means you have to rotate it around to a specific direction and then rotate it back to where you want it in the world.
Yeah.
And it is a little fiddly, but it becomes pretty second nature pretty quick.
Do you play a lot of building games, Hoeg?
Like survival crafters? No.
Okay. That's good to know. Because I imagine this is probably a lot of people's like first entry into like building things, but I play a lot of games where that's a mechanic. So I picked up Zelda and I was like, oh yeah, I know all this. I got it.
The interesting thing to me is, right, like my most building is like in, I don't know, like something like a Fortnite or whatever. And like when you use Ultra Hand and it's highlighted, it feels like it's not in the world anymore until you place it back down, but it is. You're still affecting things in front of you. And also
you can slap stuff on accident.
Unlike Fortnite, which is just physics doesn't matter. You just put walls wherever and things like that. If you try to build a construction and then you put it back into the world, it'll tip over if it's not balanced and things like that. So it's tricky for me. I'm not an engineer to figure out exactly how to do it. It is a little bit more finicky than I like in my Zelda, but I do like how much it opens up different solutions. So I think it's worth it. I want to point out that it's not perfect, and then there are places where it felt bad to me.
It's interesting. That's the thing that, as I see more and more, like I said, that was the biggest concern. Like I love hearing that it's kind of a more detailed game, that there's more stuff to find and do. I loved hearing about the dungeons, and a lot of people are obviously raving about it, right? And I really do want to experience it, and I hope it kind of hits for me better than Breath of the Wild did.
Is it still the highest rated game on Metacritic ever right now?
Not ever, but it's up there. Yeah, it's not ever.
Wasn't it? I think it was.
It was ever when it came out.
Yeah, when it came out, it was
ever for a few hours on release.
Oh, so it already fell off. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's still way up there. Yeah. But what was I going to say? But this is the aspect that concerns me the most, because I don't want to build. Like, leave me alone. Just let me play.
It's probably not the game for you.
No joy.
If you don't want to build.
No joy.
No, I just don't like building games. Why is that no joy? Like, I just don't like building games.
Because building is one of the most essential forms of play. Did you never play with Legos as a kid?
Yeah, but I don't want to do that in my video game.
Wow.
So I agree.
You've changed, Ains. I liked you when
when I was 8.
I liked you when your shoes lit up when you ran. That was my favorite version of it.
He was running down the ramps with his Heelys on and stuff.
Yeah. that was just a couple years ago.
This guy had Velcro on his sneakers. They lit up. They had a little Spider-Man plastic decal on the side, and he played Legos. All right.
That was Batman. Thank you.
Well, he had Batman decal on the side, and he played Legos, but he's lost his childlike wonder. He hasn't retained the spirit of youth.
Well, let me say the opposite end of this, because I feel like I'm like the level of criticism I have on this is more nitpick oriented than swamps the whole fun of the game. Because
I call that a Travis.
You get the original powers, and these are powers that you would have learned about in the preview video. So you probably know all these if you watched that one, Ains or Dan.
I did.
You get your Great Plateau powers. They have a new Great Plateau in this game, and the immediate effect for me is just feeling like everywhere you walk is a possible environmental puzzle, like forest, cliffs, trees, everything. And you feel like, it's only 3 powers that you get from the top, 4 actually, if you make it through the whole first area, then you have like this toolbox of unlimited possibilities for anywhere that you go into. And it's really very satisfying to have this particular power set over the one that they gave you in Breath of the Wild, and then to go into a room or go into an area and think, what are the things that I can do here? And have them be uncountable because of the various things that you can do. And you can cut down a tree, you can pick it up, you can drop it on the monsters if that's what you feel like. You can build a boat, you can build a ramp. You don't have to build anything if you don't want, Ains. You can attach a bomb to your arrows and fire your bomb arrow into a camp. I mean,
I like that. That's cool.
The possibilities are really, really, really significant, and I think that's what people are reacting to in Tears of the Kingdom. Is it just feels it feels more like a incredible sandbox and toy that just you can play however you feel like. So yes, you can build. You could build for hours if you wanted to. You want to build a house, you can build a house. You want to build the mech that you see on the internet, you can build that. But for the rest of us, probably you're gonna make horrible, what my daughter calls public art, because we have like art installations around Michigan that we stop at and enjoy and or consider why it exists. And so I made some really horrible looking things as I tried to make ladders and climbable things, but it's a game that rewards curiosity in a way that I don't think many exploration games really get to. So my wife asked me what makes it so great. I'm like, I really think it's one of the best exploration games of all time. It always feels like there's something fun to find, something new to use. And since you have all these powers that use the things that you find, there's just a lot of growth at all times when you play the game.
That was going to be my next question. While I felt like the Breath of the Wild kind of gave a sense of scale, right, and kind of exploration-based discovery in the world, I just wasn't impressed by what you did find. Like a lot of that game felt barren to me. Does this game, and whether you agree or not, does this game kind of have more in it, if that makes sense? Is there more going on from section to section than Breath of the Wild, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. And the addition of the Sky Islands as well as the cave systems have different ecosystems. It almost feels like, I don't know if you're familiar with Anno, but like they have multiple different economies that you have to interact with at the same time that build on each other. It has some of that going, you want to go to the Sky Islands to get something that you need there. You want to go to the caves to get something that you need there. And essentially it's 3 times as big as Breath of the Wild, but using things that are different than Breath of the Wild and that you're interested in finding in those ecosystems. So I think it feels significantly more rewarding to explore than Breath of the Wild. And I love Breath of the Wild. So.
Okay. You agree, Travis?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the purest form of a video game, in my opinion. Like did the light change in here? What is going on? Do you see this? What do I look?
You got lighter and I got darker because like a storm's rolling in right now.
Did I get lighter? Okay, look.
You took my light, sir.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Look. Okay. Yeah. So it is to me, like the fact that you can just do anything. I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't really been using it for a lot of problem solving, as Hoeg is testifying to. I've just been goofing around. That's sort of how I interact with these sorts of games, at least for as long as possible. So I've just been building dumb stuff, and there's a power called fuse where you can make any item just attach to an item you're holding. And so like you just be like, attach that rock to my sword, and it'll just fuse the rock with your sword, and then you can swing it at things. And so I've been making like abominations for no reason. I built a wagon and I put like 18 fans on the back of it, and then I put a bunch of flame turrets on the front of it, and then I just like started making it run down the street and crash into stuff and catch the forest on fire, and for no reason, just like doing dumb things like that. So it's a very silly, ridiculous game, and I have no problem with the comparison to Nuts and Bolts because I freaking love that.
I was going to say what you just described. That was Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah, I love that game. To me, like that was, it's obviously very different from the other Banjo-Kazooie games, which I also love. But I had no problem because, as you guys know, I'm a bit irreverent to the legacy of games. I kind of want to see them do something weird and different. And
you got it.
I got that, dude. Like, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is just
weird and different.
So it's so different and so weird, and it surprises me, and that's what I like in games. I like to be surprised and just see something I haven't seen before. And I have never seen in a video game, nor did I ever expect in a Zelda game, that I would be able to jump 100 feet in the air and then swim through land. I never thought that would be a thing, but you can do that in this game. You can swim through solid objects and then come out on the other side like a gopher. It's crazy.
My daughter calls it abduction because a little icon looks like a UFO is picking you up, but it's actually called descent.
Oh,
yeah. You're actually floating through all of the ground.
Yeah, but it's one of those powers, right, where again, they're kind of in the background. You've got your Ultra Hand, which moves things around and attaches them through like light glue, and then Ascend lets you go up through any ceiling. So you can start combining these powers, right? If you can construct a ceiling, that means you can elevate yourself very quickly. And so you've got all these things that go together, and it just constantly feels like you're playing with Legos or a toy box. And you don't have to interact with all of that, Ains. You'll have to interact with some of it.
Sure.
I'm in the sky right now, and I'm using Ascend all the time because that's clearly what I'm supposed to be doing to climb this structure. But I think that it is a game like I haven't played before, which is always nice, as Travis suggests, in a world that I loved the first time. And even though I don't quite know what's going on, I can tell that there's a lot more narrative and story that they put into this one than Breath of the Wild. So where Breath of the Wild really, I think, followed the mantra of that like tiny little piano song that they used in Breath of the Wild, and like that was about the amount of narrative that you got. This one feels like, okay, you guys wanted more story? Fine. We'll give you more story. And like everybody has a whole narrative beat and everything is questioning.
It needed that, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's a marked difference, I think, from Breath of the Wild, is that it's really focused on doing that a lot more. Almost feels like Ocarina in places.
Yeah.
Wow.
Combining the powers is real. Like the monster flaming wagon that I built, like I rammed it through a goblin nest and caught everything on fire, and then there were still some people alive, so I just used the rewind power on the wagon and it went back to where it was, and then I just did it again. I just like hit them with the same giant destructive monster the second time. It is very, very cool. Yeah, I'm happy to see this game do well and be as good as everybody thought it was going to be, and I'm excited to play more. I've had to do Diablo a bit this weekend, so I just want to play more of it. Hopefully today or tomorrow after I get some of the review work done for the Outlast game. Yeah.
Well, this is why I wanted to talk to you guys about it, because obviously I knew everyone knew the game was going to review high. I mean, who are we kidding, right? And I see all the praise online, but I wanted to really hear kind of the details about it from you guys, people I trust, rather than just random Twitter impressions.
It's real,
But I got to say, yeah, you guys, sadly, I want to admit, you guys are actually getting me excited to play it. So I don't think I'm going to have time. I may pick it up sooner than I thought I was going to now, because with the Diablo review incoming, that game's going to take over my life anyway. But good to know that outside of kind of maybe some of the building, everything you've described has me more excited for it than Breath of the Wild. Which
the other thing I can't speak to is how much they wind up doing things like the pinball shrine throughout the game. Right?
Sure.
Like I would like them to not go in that direction, but I don't know that for sure. I'm in my first dungeon right now.
Yeah, I heard the game's huge, right? We're talking like 60, 80 plus hours.
The reason I was late to this show, and I apologize, chat, that was me, is because I thought giving an hour and a half to make this path up to the temple that I was trying to get to would be enough time, and it wasn't. I was like 10 minutes short.
Alex in our chat, by the way, who's doing our review, like I said, he said, yeah, it's easier to get to the story beats in the game, and the story told is wild. So good. Let me get to some super chats. A few of them kind of relate to Zelda in a way. Let me go ahead and get these while Dan's taking a break. So Googleman kicked us off before we started the Bitcast, as always. Oh, Dan's back. €5 super chat from Googleman. Dan, you want to hit these?
Yep. Video games. Also played a bit of Scourgebringer again. The pixels are still pink, and the soundtrack is still Doom. Zelda, Game of the Year. Travis, I'm not sure what those are.
Oh,
I think he's proposing to elven princesses.
I thought he was taking a selfie.
Actually, I think he's
right.
I
think he's taking a photo of some elven princesses.
Those Zeldas?
Yeah, those are the 3 different Zeldas right there, depending on your choice of hair color, maybe? I don't know.
You say picture perfect Zelda.
That's
what
there you go.
I like it.
Yeah. I think it's a Purapad or Sheikah Slate, depending on your preference.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it is.
But,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, Zelda Game of the Year. It's hard to imagine it not being, honestly, just because of the innovation there. Diablo is going to be more polished, and I'm really excited for it. But I think that Zelda is in the Elden Ring slot here.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, even from the outside looking in and not being my favorite thing in the world, I don't see any. I told someone the other day, the only thing in my opinion that could top Zelda is if, let me finish my sentence, is if Starfield came out and it was actually revolutionary. And there's 99% chance I don't think that's going to be the case. So I think Zelda's probably got it locked up.
Yeah, I don't see Starfield even trying to be as innovative or new and different and novel as Zelda is. And I think Zelda doing it and succeeding as well as they have. And I think with what they built here, this sandbox and all these crazy powers, to not have bugs, to not have it break down all the time is really much more impressive than just saying that sounds, I think.
That's fair too. And Zelda just has an aura about it, right? I mean, it's one of those IPs in the industry, one of the select few that just kind of bring pretty much everyone together for the most part.
Bethesda games do that too, though.
They do. I know. That's why I said there. I still think there is a very outside chance, but I mean, the praise that Zelda's getting, the critical reception, the sales are going to be ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, Googleman, thank you.
I think ARPGs have a inherent disadvantage in the marketplace.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah, so I think Diablo is going to be tough, but I still think it's possible if it does well enough. Starfield, I think, is definitely possible. I think you guys are underestimating Bethesda and what they can do and their ambition to do crazy and weird stuff. I mean, let's not forget, they did add, for how much you guys hate it, they also came up with the idea of adding crazy building stuff to their last game. So they could do something weird and new that changes the game.
Well, there's crazy building in Starfield. You build your own starships and bases, and
my point is that they're not afraid of trying new things, and I think that they might, and you guys might be surprised. So I wouldn't be surprised. That's definitely not outside of their MO. And I think the real loser from all this in terms of Game of the Year is that nobody's going to be talking about Jedi Survivor at the end of the year. That was Jedi Survivor. That was the one where people last week or a couple weeks ago were talking about Game of the Year, and I think that Zelda has probably already washed that possibility out of. Yeah, it's gone. It was here and it's gone.
Well, I think Hogwarts is in the same camp.
Yeah,
by the end of the year, by the end of the year with Zelda and Starfield and Diablo and Spider-Man 2, don't forget. I think Hogwarts and Jedi are going to be easily forgotten. But anyway,
I hope for great things out of all those upcoming games. I just think looking at what actually works in Zelda and how innovative it is, I just don't see anybody trying to be that interesting or new. Like, I feel like I know what I'm going to play when I play Spider-Man 2. I feel like I know what I'm going to play when I play Diablo. You're right that I don't know every minute of what I would play in Starfield. So there's an opening there.
But we'll see.
It's just having played Zelda, it's just hard to believe that it wouldn't get some Game of the Year.
Say I'm a big fan of the way that Hoeg is describing Game of the Year. He's going for the game that pushes the industry forward the most, innovation. That's what we look for in our Game of the Year.
Well, go ahead, Hoeg.
To me, it's a combination, right? If Zelda were just throwing cool powers and letting you build random internet memes, that wouldn't be as good as having a world that's worth exploring and having an interesting and intriguing story from the off. I mean, like, one of the things that's really strong in Tears of the Kingdom that I think was much stronger than Breath of the Wild is that it's immediately compelling in a way that Breath of the Wild is not, where you just wake up and you're like, I guess Zelda's talking to me. I guess we should run out there and see what's happening. Tears of the Kingdom has some weird stuff happen right from the start. And you're like, good. I should learn more about what's happening. And like, that drove me right through the tutorial area because it's like, this still doesn't make any sense. And then, like, even when the story starts, I think I said, I don't know what's going on. That's true, because the story is like, we don't know what's going on. You should look into these various things. It's like, yeah, okay, let's do that. But it's much more intriguing than Breath of the Wild from the start.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. That's good to hear. They also have a Whiterun tutorial area that's crazy.
Yeah, I've heard the tutorial area, is like 10 hours, right?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, depending on how you play.
I blew through that. Yeah.
You said Whiterun. You mean White Orchard?
He means White Orchard.
What's Whiterun? Is that
Whiterun is the city in Skyrim? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My bad.
I knew what you meant.
White Orchard. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I've been saying Whiterun for like a week to people. I'm like, yeah, they got a Whiterun area. People are like, Travis is insane. I don't know what he's talking about.
One of the neither here nor there, but one of the most fun custom maps you play in Halo 5 and Infinite is Whiterun, like from Skyrim, but in Halo. Like, people recreate it to a T, and you just jump all over the roofs.
Yeah.
No, it's big. It's got a big fountain and buildings and houses.
Okay, it's that building.
Yeah.
I always forget the names of the places in that game.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years.
Damn it, there was something. Oh, lastly, I was going to say game of the year. Obviously, like, you know, it's just an award, right? It doesn't matter to anyone personally what your game of the year is. Like, I know for a fact Diablo is going to be my game of the year.
Matters to developers.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter to them who Ainge's game of the year is.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, nobody cares about who Ainge's game of the year is. My game.
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Don Lionheart in the house.
$5 super chat. Breath of the Wild is overrated. Elden Ring isn't innovative and is overrated. And I'm sure Tears of the Kingdom is also overrated. I said what I said, and it was worth the money. I'm assuming that's a heart because it's not showing up.
I'm going to say
it's not showing up.
Don, we love you.
Don, thank you, brother.
That was
thank you.
Wow, way to improve yourself to several groups of people at once that your opinion's not worth.
Yeah, I was going to say between the Zeldas and the Elden Rings, you've pretty much just yelled at everyone.
Yeah,
you've
just been like, hey, don't listen to anything I say. We call that hoeging yourself in this.
What I like about this comment is that it implies that he acknowledges that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are innovative.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I will tell you, Don, just for future reference, you can slander Zelda all you want. We don't slander Elden Ring around these parts. So,
hey, you know what wasn't on that super chat? Hitman 3. Thanks, Don.
You put them right in order there because Elden Ring is clearly based on Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. All right, moving on, Don. Thank you. Hope you're doing well, man.
And in Elden Ring 2, you're going to be able to build things. So you're ready
don't
for that.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you're going to be able to build next.
I want to know what building looks like. I want to see me build a corpse pile that I can.
All right, hold on. I'm going to mute Travis. I'm going to mute Travis real quick. Can't listen to this. Sardanisms. What's up?
Yeah, with the $5 super chat, I got all my stuff from a charity sale. Mugs got here yesterday. Happy Mother's Day to the team, Mom, Mrs. Hoeg, and to the Peerless panel at SG. Thanks.
Thank you, Sardanism.
Thank you, Ray.
I hope you love them.
Yeah, appreciate that. She also just gifted a membership on the SG side of the house. So thank you very much, Sard. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. So Shush super chatted, said a comment, and then retracted it. So I don't think I should read it. I told him or her to post another comment, and I'll read it without super chatting. So Shush, just type whatever you want me to read in the chat, and I'll read it.
I like this one that they just put a dead loop in the trash. Is that what is that the one?
I think he means death loop.
I know what he means. Maybe he's calling it dead loop because it sucks.
I think he's calling it dead loop because he's being rude.
Yeah, I like Shush.
All right, Fat Boy Horror.
Fat Boy Horror. Since Ains likes it, I've ordered it, and I've dragged the Switch out of the cupboard. Here's hoping.
I think you misread my tweet that has gone ridiculous since I posted it last night. I posted a tweet joking about Tears of the Kingdom, but I used an image of Elden Ring saying how good it was. It has blown up like crazy on Twitter, so people I don't think are looking at the image properly and realizing I posted Elden Ring. So Fat Boy, just know I have not played Tears of the Kingdom. So hopefully you can take what these guys have said and make your own judgment. But
what's funny is the Sky Islands in Tears of the Kingdom use a kind of autumnal golden tree look, and it reminds me so much of the Erd tree. When you're
really? That's cool. That's very cool. All right, Fat Boy, hope you're good, brother. Detective Seeds in the house.
Erd tree. I didn't think I'd ever hear Hoeg say Erd tree.
With the 1999 Super Chat, Ains, I was not a huge fan of Breath of the Wild, but I'm loving the amount of quests in Tears of the Kingdom. It's vast and so full of activities.
Sweet.
It also made me love building due to its creativity and sophistication. Very cool.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
I like
Seeds
in there.
There you go. Seeds, thank you for the generous super chat. Yeah, Seeds, a good buddy. We talk quite a bit on Twitter and stuff, and he has his own channel reviewing games and stuff too. So please check that out. Thank you very much. That's good to hear. That's why I was asking the questions I asked these guys, because it's not that I don't want to like it. It's that I just didn't really enjoy Breath of the Wild that much. So if this improves in those key areas you guys have talked about, then I'm excited, man. You guys have made me excited to play it, which I'm actually kind of annoyed at, if I'm honest, because it's nice knowing there's a 100-hour game out there that everyone's raving about that you don't care about, because I just don't have time to play all these games, right? Especially with the Diablo review. And now you guys have made me want to play this, and now I'm like, okay, how the hell am I going to find time to play this? So I still haven't finished Jedi. I'm only like 15 hours into Jedi too. So
what's wrong with you?
Too many games, man. Too many games. Thank you, Seeds. Appreciate you. Courtney
Michelle with the 499 super chat. My copy of Zelda arrives in an hour, and now I'm so incredibly pumped to play this afternoon.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Nice.
Yeah, fantastic. That's awesome. All right. And then I was saving this one because it didn't relate to Zelda or the games at all, but it was kind of a funny question. Radic in the house.
All right. What are your guys' favorite luxury fashion brands, and do you wear them on a daily basis? Should games media embrace wearing Gucci, Louis Vuitton, etc.?
I think mine is Apple.
Ugh.
What? Is Apple a fashion brand, Hoeg?
They make watches. Can't they be a fashion brand?
I mean...
My answer is very simple. I wear T-shirts and track pants pretty much every day, everywhere.
Yeah, I mean a ball cap and a
what about your shoes? Some guys wear shoes that are.
I don't care about shoes either.
I wear Skechers. So
I wear physics.
Hey, what's up, dads?
I wear just Adidas, Pumas, whatever. I'm not into fashion brands, so that's not me.
You slide a nice pair of no lace Skechers on, and they got that nice like whatever foam technology. Never go back. Everybody's like, "Oh, give me some of those Patrick Mahomes Adidas's," and I'm like, "No, they're like rock hard. It's ridiculous." Listen, these things got me through 20 miles of walking around New York and Boston, and I'm buying another pair. That's how good they are.
There you go.
Okay.
Skechers is my answer. So
Skechers. That's great.
So
that's not the
Skechers. We have 0 luxury brands so far. Ains, what do you got?
Got nothing, man. I got nothing. Radic says, so you're a Hot Topic guy, Ains. No, not for about 30 years. No. That's a long time ago.
I would like to recommend my favorite luxury brand at this point. Indochino. They make bespoke, made-to-measure suits. And you can you can also customize them to have, like, for example, your gamer tag on the inside of your jacket, which I do. And I own several of their suits and one of their tuxedos. That's
just to be clear, you're the one on the panel who argues you're not the hipster. I just want to make sure I have this correct.
Does it count as being a hipster if you wear suits? That seems like the most conformist thing to do.
It might have been 50 years ago.
Okay. So you're saying that now it's counterculture.
I think suits and tie wearing. I think specifically you're tie guy, Travis, because you like to be different on that score. Yes.
I'm with Hoeg on this one. Yeah.
I just think I haven't changed and the world has, but that's okay.
Isn't that kind of hipsterism? I mean, I can't pretend to understand the full life philosophy, but
I feel like hipsters do things because it's counterculture, because it's not what people are doing. And I just wear suits because I am comfortable in suits. They're the clothes I like to wear. Has nothing to do with if everybody would start wearing suits, I'd still wear suits. You know what I mean?
I'm laughing that there's people in chat saying Skechers are awesome.
I mean, listen, don't knock it till you try it, people. I mean, you can sit here and say whatever you want, but
maybe it shows the caliber of our viewer. I have no idea. What is that?
I got him on right now.
Oh my God!
Let's see him. Put the kicks up on the table, Dan. Let's see the Skechers.
Yeah, you want to see a 350-pound fat guy move his leg that high? You're crazy. Look at that, Skechers, right here.
There you go.
They're well kept.
Slipped right off.
All right, that's what it says. Slip in right there.
You guys are going to join Bitcast next week. It's going to say sponsored by Skechers in the corner.
I'm working on it. I got to get it on there.
Oh my God, Radic! Thank you for the super chat.
Suits, is that real, Christy? I saw somebody in the comment section saying Legal Eagle wears the same suit. So if so, game recognizes game. It's a good brand.
Uncivil Laws in the house as well. He said, "I'm bringing YSL back." What is YSL? Did I miss something?
Yeah, YSL is
brand.
It's a brand.
I thought I was wearing one of their ties, but I'm not. But I have a few of their ties.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I told you. I don't know. All right. Radic, thank you for the super chat that got us talking about all of that and Skechers, apparently. Guys, anything else you want to add on not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom before we move on?
Not me.
What else would I add?
I can add one thing, which is that Ains, I know you and I were both hoping that Tears of the Kingdom would have full dungeons as opposed to what Breath of the Wild had. And I will say that Tears of the Kingdom has fuller dungeons, but they do not reach, it's not a like return to the dungeons that they had before. They're still sticking with their much more kind of, I would say they're even more open in this one, but they're not a return to the old dungeons. And I think they're soundly sticking with their current formula, and that works for me in this game so far. But if you were hoping to, see Ocarina of Time type dungeons, they are not in this game.
Yeah, they appear to be souped up versions of the animals.
Of the animals?
Yeah, from Breath of the Wild.
Okay. Yes. Got you. Okay. That's weird because I didn't they have a thing like
they're named dungeons.
Okay. Just not what we may have traditionally thought in that vein.
I mean, they're souped up. They're more.
Okay.
And I would say that with the powers, the entire world feels more like an environmental puzzle than anything in the older Zeldas, I would say. But
okay. Fair enough. So guys, like I said, there's not a whole lot of news this week. I did want to mention that upcoming, so the server slam's ongoing for Diablo, of course. Next weekend, we do get the Capcom announced the open beta for Street Fighter 6. We've talked before around this being kind of like the fighting game year of the fighting game. So we got open beta next weekend of Street Fighter 6. Details are on the site if you want to check them out, but you can choose from 8 characters. There's going to be I think 6 locations, some of the creation stuff you can play around with. So it's a pretty big open beta. And I think Capcom said they, really kind of testing out, not only letting people see the game, but testing out kind of the netcode and everything to go for launch, which is in a few weeks, as we know. So right at the beginning of June. Perhaps more interesting is we knew that Mortal Kombat was being teased by Ed Boon and the group, over the past few months or so. But this week we got a little kind of teaser clip along with some leaks that say that, yes, Mortal Kombat is returning, expected the release in the early fall timeframe, September, October, and it's going to kind of reset the Mortal Kombat universe. People are saying it's called Mortal Kombat 1, but then Ed Boon himself came out and said nobody said our next game was Mortal Kombat, which was a kind of a weird thing to say. So I guess we'll see what happens here, but supposedly a kind of full announcement is imminent. The only other thing we've heard confirmed from several people that kind of know, if you will, is that it is going to feature kind of licensed characters again. So they've mentioned some DC-related characters and movie characters as well. Go ahead, Travis.
Sorry, before we continue, I just want to point out that I received a text message from Indochino just now. Right after I finished talking about them, they sent me a text and were like, "Yo, you want my suit?" I'm like, "What? Are you guys
watching right now?" Yeah, they're watching right now.
I didn't know the people in Indochino watched the show. No, but let's talk about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, just DM me about that sponsorship deal. We'll make it worth your while.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Be lucrative. Let's do it. Let's sell out, guys.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Let's sell out. I don't have any scruples. Do you guys have scruples? I don't even know what scruples are, if I'm being honest.
Let's just all show up
next week. He's wearing a Skechers shirt. You've got a suit on. There's brands in the corners. Yeah.
Travis, you can't sell out twice. You're already sold.
Oh, that's true, isn't it?
That's true. Yeah.
For everything else, stick with IGN.
Yeah. But anyway, Mortal Kombat 1 and the rumor.
Yeah. I'm going to say Mortal Kombat. Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Obviously, there's not a lot to talk about yet because it was just sort of a wry kind of a confirmation of what we already assumed was happening, which is they were making more Mortal Kombat games. I don't know why they would stop at this point. But I like Mortal Kombat. It's definitely my favorite fighting game franchise.
It's my favorite as well.
Yeah,
I think NetherRealm puts together the best console fighting games.
They
packages.
I would say yes. I like Street Fighter 6 the best mechanically. I think it's the tightest game mechanically, but I cannot get into a world of like regular dudes just punching each other. Mortal Kombat has that that nice weirdness and supernatural vibe that I prefer. Killer Instinct is also great, man. I've got such a soft spot for KI.
Let's hear it for Eternal Champions, folks. Come on.
Oh no my idea. God. Way of the Warrior? Way of the Warrior, anyone? No? Okay. That's a deep cut.
Eternal
Sifu, guys. Sifu, the best fighting game. Everybody knows about that fighting game.
Oh, God.
Fighting game. No, I love Mortal Kombat, and I specifically love the recent stories of Mortal Kombat, starting with 9 and going up into the most recent one.
Man.
I'm really excited to see them keep that going because they've just been on a roll with Mortal Kombat. And you know what? 9 pays so much homage to that original Mortal Kombat movie that I remember so well as a kid, and I just want more of that feel. I want
9 is my favorite MK. Like, I hope whatever they do, like, it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I love that. I love that Mortal Kombat movie. It's actually been a couple years since I watched it. I think it's time to rewatch Mortal Kombat.
I actually still use, like, when MK comes out, whenever this comes out, I still use the fight stick that came with MK9 on the 360 because it's just really high quality, and I have to use like a USB plug into my Xbox to make it work because it doesn't recognize it otherwise. But you can still do that and make it work, which is awesome.
What was that fighting game where you played like gorillas or like apes and you like fart on
Primal
each other?
Rage.
Primal Rage. Yeah, that's the best fighting game, guys. Obviously.
Clay Fighter.
Oh, man.
Clay Fighter was another one. There were so many fighting games back in the day. As soon as like Street Fighter made it big, you know, Street Fighter 2 and MK got big, like all kinds of fighting games came out of the woodwork.
Def Jam, underrated. Fantastic fighting game.
People have been asking for that to come back for a long time.
Because it's awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. That was probably the last one I ever played. I don't play fighting.
And it was funny that a game like that, that's so heavily licensed, right, was mechanically pretty solid. That's what made it cool, right? Like, it was actually a decent game. Yeah.
Smash Bros?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Smash Bros is always kind of its own thing, but it's up there. I mean,
it's a fighting game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Tekken 6, Walrang got revealed, and people were going nuts for that. So I think it's just going to be a fun year, I guess. I'm looking forward to playing more Street Fighter 6 next week and kind of checking out more characters because the little tech test they had a couple weeks ago was pretty limited in terms of characters and stuff. So this open beta should be fun, but I'm looking forward to see what MK does, of course. Crazy time for games, man. Just a lot. Sorry, Hope?
I'm sorry. I was just reading Soul Calibur 2. Then in my head, I was yes, A Tale of Souls and Swords.
Yeah, Soul Calibur. I'll never forget Soul Calibur on Dreamcast, man. That was a revelation at the time. Incredible.
Soul Calibur 4 with all the Star Wars characters.
Oh yeah, when they didn't they have a unique one per platform?
Yeah,
one had Vader, one had Yoda.
Eventually, they put them all on the same platform.
Yeah, Yoda was Xbox. I think Vader was PlayStation, right? Something like that.
3 had Spawn on Xbox.
That's right. I remember Spawn.
Oh, right. Spawn, yeah.
Link on the GameCube, and on PlayStation, it was some old guy that I didn't even recognize, but apparently from a series on PlayStation. I don't remember who it was. But like Spawn versus Link, like, bruh.
Spawn, Link, old guy.
Yeah, some old dude I don't even remember. I just remember him not caring at all.
One thing I found weird that got announced just the other day, actually, we talked about Concrete Genie Studio, being Pixel Opus being shut down. So PlayStation comes out this week. Well, not PlayStation, but the actual employees. So Deviation Games, which is a studio that was only founded in 2021. So only 2 years ago, it was founded by some Call of Duty veterans, bought by PlayStation to become first party, apparently working on a new unannounced IP with a couple other internal first party studios. They just laid off quite a few employees. The reports said dozens, more looked into it. It said upwards of 90 employees that PlayStation laid off this week, and they haven't ever shown a game. So this one was kind of interesting. I don't know what happened here. Obviously, outside the people involved, I don't know anyone knows what happened. But clearly, something was kind of going wrong with the development of whatever they were working on.
It sounds like a project dying.
Yeah, so
I mean,
something was changed along the way, and PlayStation has said, "Okay, we're done with this."
Yeah, only one of three things happens. If you are a studio who hasn't put out a game yet, you go out of business, PlayStation acquires you, or Square Enix comes in to finish your game. Those are really the only three options.
Nice.
I like that dry delivery, my friend. The funny thing about the studio being founded, though, is that when it was founded by a guy named Jason Blundell. He left in 2022 after PlayStation acquired them. So I think he kind of took the money and ran.
Everybody says that they haven't been acquired, though. They were just partnered with them.
Oh, were they second party? I'm sorry. They had second party deal with them. Thank you, GameFire. I apologize.
Acquired, and I think that studio was banking on them getting acquired. And maybe Sony got scared by whatever it was they were working on, and that never happened. But that was my interpretation of it, is that they were positioning themselves to be one of those tiny studios that PlayStation acquires for seemingly no reason. And then when that didn't happen, they were like, we don't really have a lot. So
I got you. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the clarity, guys. Sorry about that. So it was just a partnership they had signed with Deviation Games. Gotcha. Okay. So I don't know what's going on there. I guess we'll hear about that in the future. Who knows? But as you mentioned earlier, Travis, we are still yet to see. We should have a PlayStation showcase coming up soon if rumors are to be believed. But, they keep talking and have been for about, 18 months or so about this kind of games as a service future they're painting with these properties that they're supposedly working on. We haven't seen anything. Literally nothing.
None of those games will be ready this year. I don't think you'll see.
No, I don't think this year.
Trailer or logo. I don't think you'll see anything.
Yeah, those early notes were from investors' comments,
they were.
Right? So, they haven't presented anything to the consumer base.
No, but I think I know I was talking, and I see Joe's in the chat too, and we were kind of talking about this, but outside of Spider-Man 2, right? And we know, obviously, we keep talking that Factions is coming at some point. We have no idea what are they doing? Like, what is actually on deck for them from a first-party perspective? Because they've been really quiet over the past several dozen months or however long.
Some team at Insomniac's also making Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Wolverine, right?
They've announced some stuff, but they've done like the PlayStation thing where we just get an announcement or a logo, and then we're not going to get anything for a while. But I think they still have stuff in the pipeline. They're pretty good at pacing.
Oh, I'm sure they have a lot in the pipeline. I just don't know what it is, right? Like, we assume they have a new Horizon project in the works, which will be years out because Horizon's only a year old. PSVR 2 just came out. I'm sure they've got stuff working for that to some level. Who knows how much? Naughty Dog says they're working on a project. Are they making a Ghost of Tsushima 2? Is that what Sucker Punch?
Yeah, I thought that's what they were doing.
Is it Sucker Punch?
Yep.
I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, that would be an odd game to have a direct sequel to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I just mean narratively, it would be Ghost to somewhere else if it was going to be a sequel.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too.
The spirit of there's got to be more islands. What was the other one? I keep hoping they'll go back to
Bend. Yeah, Bend's out there.
Tears of Tsushima.
Yeah,
Tears of Tsushima.
Bend Studios is probably they're working with Naughty Dog, I thought.
They got folded in from what we heard, not as a studio, but folded in terms of project working with something else.
Well, they were trying to do Last of Us Part 1, right? And then Naughty Dog pulled it back.
Yeah, they wanted to do Days Gone 2. That got scrapped. And then they got pulled in to do Last of Us Remake. That got pulled from them. So who the hell knows?
Yeah.
When you hear those things out loud, it kind of sounds like what's going on over at Bend. That doesn't inspire a lot of confidence either.
Well, the Days Gone leadership left. They were unhappy with what Sony did with that as the follow-up. So they left.
I was unhappy with Days Gone. It is what it is.
So was Sony.
But anyway, I guess we'll see. But the only other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, funny enough, was so of all the sites, apparently GQ kind of licensed this. They went around to apparently nearly 300 kind of sites / creators / gaming media, right, and pieced together this top 100 games of all time list.
All time,
published it.
meaning the last 10 years. Yes.
Yes, I know. I saw your tweet. And I was like, you're pretty spot on about that. But I wanted to ask you guys and put you on the spot a little bit because, I published my thoughts and it's obviously, you start to talk about, I know, I was waiting for Travis to lose it here. So this is why I'm doing it, everyone. So I think that, you start to talk about top 10 games all time and there's all kinds of games that get thrown out there, right? And people have a lot of different opinions on why and everything, but I just like hearing it. Like if you guys were calling out your top 10 games of all time or top few games, we don't have to do 10. Top few games of all time. Like, what games do you think need to be on that kind of Mount Rushmore of games? In terms of and in my opinion, let me finish this. I always feel like there's kind of a couple different ways to look at this because you can look at it from like an industry impact perspective, right?
Just watching him die.
I know that's why I keep going.
Happy Mother's Day to me.
So like there's games that had a very clear impact on the industry in enormous ways that may not be the best games per se to play today, right? Or clearly, or go back to. Whereas there's other games that have kind of stood the test of time and are timeless to play, which may not have the same impact. So I think there's different ways to kind of look at it. But I think that there are some kind of key games for me that always stand out above others.
No, I think that's right.
I'd love to hear from you guys.
I call that the Grand Theft Auto 3 question because
that's fair.
Grand Theft Auto 3 is obviously your choice if you want to represent open world games as the game that started it. But like that's not my favorite open world to go back to if that's what we're trying to decide on. So
Correct.
I mean,
it's like Super Mario 64 too. I look at that game the same way. Super Mario 64 was revolutionary, but if you want to play a 3D platformer, it's still a great game today. But there's other games that you can go and kind of play.
You
better
choose it first.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I think there's other games like Minecraft, right? I think Minecraft has to be in the conversation. It kind of changed the industry. I mean, and I know Travis. See, I'll bring him back. I'll pull him back in.
One.
I don't know if it's number one, but it's up there. I mean, it is a industry defining game in a lot of ways in what it does outside of just the gameplay itself, right? It's used for educational purposes. It's used for coding. It's used for it's nuts how many people have engaged with that game in one way or another.
My number one is Star Control 2. That's what I tweeted out. That's the fact that it's not on the top 100 at all is very indicative of what kind of list it is, which is let's not talk about anything except console games in the last 10 years.
Right. Yeah. Star Control 2. I know you mentioned that before. Look at Travis's face.
Yeah. You're making that face, Travis. You've played it and not enjoyed Star Control 2?
I'm just letting you go off, man. You do you.
Well, you are making faces as to what I say,
Okay.
Is that just natural?
Just go cook, baby.
I think that's his natural response to things you say, honestly.
Hey baby girl, you just cook and I'll just make the faces I make. You know what I mean?
Okay. I don't know why it's delivered that way, Travis, but I will happily do that. Star Control 2 did have an impact on a lot of storytelling in video games for a while, but it is, in my opinion, one of the best free-form, open-world type experiences well before open world was a denominator that we would use to explain what a game is. But Star Control 2 is very high on my list. Chrono Trigger is very high on my list. Chrono Trigger is on that GQ list in like the 50s, which is pretty funny. And then for that open world kind of question, it's like, okay, if I'm going to put an open world game, I'm probably putting Witcher 3.
Yes.
But
yeah, Witcher 3 is definitely.
I understand somebody saying Grand Theft Auto 3 belongs in the open world slot.
But why can't we just, instead of looking at it that way, why can't you just say, what the hell games did you have fun with? I mean, we get away from.
No, you can. You can say what are your favorite games, right?
I know. But what I'm saying is
what I'm giving.
Oh yeah, you are for sure. But not just from. I mean, and you're right. You say GTA 3, and then you say The Witcher 3, obviously. I never liked that metric. I guess where it's like, okay, well, Minecraft's done all this stuff. That's fine, and there's millions of people playing it. And I totally understand why people love it. There's so much to it. But for me, I go back to like really simple things, like Phantasy Star, and I know.
Do it, Dan. Do it.
But then like Witcher 3, I loved Red Dead Redemption 2. I loved BioShock and Mass Effect series and KOTOR. I mean, I could sit here and just name all these, and that's it. I mean, because I think a lot of times we get away from what this hobby is supposed to be about, and it's just having fun. Spider-Man, I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man 2. You know, I mean, those games were just, I love it. You know, I mean, and it's not, I know it's not like the best technical game out there, but you know, it's all going to be, it's so subjective. It's going to be different for everybody, you know, and I could probably put on the objective goggles and go back and say, this game really changed, you know, that genre or the industry or something like that.
Halo CE.
You know? Yeah. You know, I mean, it did.
Well, Halo belongs there. Absolutely.
I've never really, I played like 2 hours of Elden Ring, but I can understand why it's, you know, everybody loved it. You know, that's it. You
Both are on the top 10.
No, sorry, Dan. Halo CE definitely changed the FPS landscape. Halo 2 changed the multiplayer FPS landscape for consoles. So they both did something pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
But I think you would just say Halo, right, as an IP. Yeah.
Halo,
early Halo.
Sure. I've never liked Halo. I'm gonna be
CE is always the one I put on my list because it just changed.
Really? Everything. I put 2.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 is probably
2 changed everything too, man.
I think what the GQ list shows is the failure of their methodology primarily.
Yeah,
right? Like the asking multiple people in the current industry for their top 10 games has this slant towards console games and recency.
Well, and some of the people asked were in their 20s. Like, what are we doing?
That's fine, guys. People in their 20s can play games that are old. I certainly have been known to play an old game or 2.
No, because I think and I don't mean this sarcastically.
I can't have played old.
No. If you're let's say you're 25, okay. So you were born in 1990. No, you're not. You were born in 1998, right? You don't understand the industry You don't understand the impact that a game like Doom had when it released. You just don't. You have no concept of what that did for the industry.
I think that is inaccurate. I think you can be, like many things, a student of history. You can figure out which games came out in chronological order and what games had preceded it and which games had come after, and you can contextualize how that game might have impacted the industry. And
you think that the people answering this question went back and can speak to the chronological order of game releases and how they impacted one another at the time of their release?
I don't think many people will meet that bar, but
I don't think so either. That's the point.
That's the problem with the methodology.
There are lots of problems with the methodology that have nothing to do with your ageist argument, sir.
I agree. There's other problems with the methodology, but that's the one we were speaking to.
Because I was born in 1998 does not mean I am lesser than.
Honestly, I think it's a function of the jobs that they asked from. Like, I think if there's a scary part, it's like you look at the people that then put up their lists on Twitter or wherever, and it's like, well, a lot of our review class or game journalists don't appear to go much past 3 years of top 10 lists. And like that's the games that they remember, and then that's it for their top 10 history of video games, which I find to be interesting because I would argue that it has not been the strongest last few years of video gaming, in my opinion. And so it would be a surprise to me if a lot stood the test of time from the last few years of making video games. And so I think that came across in the list. And then by the time you get to the top of that list, it's just whatever had prestige at the time, whatever had the most commercials at the time. You got Last of Us. You do have Red Dead Redemption. I think the only exception to this is Tetris shows up, and I think that's
Tetris is on my list.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's a fair inclusion. Although I don't know that a lot of people are necessarily going to Tetris to get entertained right now. But Tetris is a great game.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think, and no, Travis is not 20. He wasn't born in 98, really, guys.
I am much younger than the rest of the panel, and I'm a 90s kid. But yeah,
Travis will never stop a bit.
Yeah, not 90. I said 98 because I was just saying a 25-year-old, in theory, was born in 98. I was using it for my reference, not for Travis.
I'm slightly older than that, but I like to think that I do a good job of retaining the spirit of youth, both because I have the mind of a child, as many have told me, and also because of my youthful appearance, because I'm one of the few Caucasians who knows about moisturizer.
I clearly do not.
You do not. You're ashy. You're ashy, sir. You need some lotion. PSA for fellow Caucasoids. Y'all need some lotion.
I'm actually really moist as a Puerto Rican, so no worries here.
That is a Bill Burr bit, in case you didn't know that, Travis. Bill Burr, the comedian. He has a whole bit about white people being ashy and needing moisturizer.
He's a funny guy. I've not seen that bit, but he's correct in this instance.
Another one, like a game, getting back to the conversation, is like the original Resident Evil, right? When that released, that kind of changed a lot of things in the industry too. There's a lot of games like that, but I don't know. I think for me, Halo CE, I think, obviously I'm biased. Witcher 3, I think, is up there. I think Red Dead 2 did revolutionary things. Obviously, seeing this list right away, when I saw this list and number 1 was Breath of the Wild, I was like, okay, I'm done with this list. Stop it. But I think to Hoeg's point, there's definitely recency bias whenever this question comes up. And I think it's very easy to forget about some of the games from the 80s and 90s in particular that really changed the industry and kind of drove things what they are today. So,
yeah. Travis, without you breaking down or exploding and saying does not compute, you have any games that might appear on your top 10 list you'd want to share?
I was going to say, you haven't actually said a game.
Yeah, my top 10
to order
list.
them.
No, I'll even order them just for you, Hoeg. Number 1, Resident Evil 8. Number 2, God of War Ragnarok. Number 3, what are the games in front? Oh, Elden Ring. No, he doesn't like that one.
Elden Ring should be up there.
Elden Ring, fine.
Okay, fine. What game do you hate? I'm trying to make you upset.
Deathloop.
Clearly. Deathloop is definitely on my list.
Revolutionary, yeah.
Revolutionary. 10 out of 10 game. Their best work yet. Redfall, definitely going to be on there. Let's see.
Mass Effect 2. Right.
Okay. This is obviously very hard for me. For those who didn't see the episode where I had an emotional and mental breakdown on the show, it was because all
I asked you was to make your favorite game. That's literally all I asked.
All I asked you was, have you ever gone to a computer program and
oh shit, here we go.
The most broad parameter possible. Just be like,
if you ever want to hear Travis sound like Chat GPT, this is the question that does it. I'm sorry, I don't make determinations like that.
Give us like 3 of your favorite games. It doesn't have to be like out of all of them that you play. It's like some of the favorites. No, it doesn't. You don't have to be so specific. That way it kind of makes your brain relax a little bit. Like Destiny 2, you could say, probably, right?
What the? No! Not even, shut up! Shut up, Dan! God! Don't joke like that.
I think you might be right. It might revolutionize a whole host of the way video games are made.
God!
They're going after that Destiny 2 money.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I think Anthem's got to be up there for sure.
Yeah, let's throw Anthem on that list. Mass
top
Effect
100
2 for sure.
Worst of the Mass Effects
because of Hoeg. No, I'm just kidding.
Very true. Worst of the Mass Effects.
I have trouble with this question because my brain gets overloaded when somebody asks me a question with too broad of parameters, and it renders too many results in my head. And so, saying what is your favorite game of all time, without more specific categories or consoles or platforms or developers makes it I get a
he's doing it again, guys.
Yeah. Okay,
he's doing it again.
That said, if you guys are just giving me broad wherewithal to list great
what game do you like to play the most?
Minecraft is probably the best game of all time.
Okay,
it's number 1 because of, you could list a million reasons it's number 1, but it's a game I constantly return to no matter what year or age I am, and I've liked it since I was very small when it came out, and I like it today, and it's still just a fantastic game.
That wasn't that hard.
Yeah, Minecraft's probably the best game.
There you go. Good job.
I would agree. Witcher 3 is definitely on the list. I don't know if it's in the top 10, but it's in the top 20, I would say, easily. I
just want to see his head explode one time.
Postal 4.
Yeah.
No.
Crossfire X shut down. You can't play your favorite game anymore.
You know what's funny is I now have a group of people who text me every time a game I reviewed poorly goes out of business. This is a real thing now. Anytime a company goes out of business because of me, they're like, "Hey, Travis, remember that game you reviewed?" And I'm like, "Are you trying to make me feel bad?" Because I don't. Yeah, Minecraft's a great game. I don't know what else to say.
That's all you had to say.
I got one game out there.
Good enough.
I knew this question was coming, and I still couldn't prepare. Too much for me.
Hey, shout out to Kestrel with the deep cut Paperboy. Hell yeah, love me some Paperboy.
It's a good game.
Good game. Used to love that in the arcade with the actual handlebars.
It's the only place you could play it.
Yeah, you got to play with the handlebars.
Did you guys play the Mario? I think it was called Donkey Kong, but it was the one on the Game Boy where you go through different worlds, and it's on the original Game Boy, the brick. I don't know how to describe it more than that, but it. Oh man. Anyway, I wish I could.
Paperboy at some point.
No, it just reminded me of that era of game because I played Paperboy primarily on the old NES, or sorry, the old Game Boy, the brick, that version of it. That's how I played that game.
Paperboy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan's right. Paperboy is like, if you didn't play in the arcade with the actual bike handlebars, that's the only way to play that game. That's amazing.
I did not do that.
Oh, I know, because it was out in like the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the game is just called Donkey Kong, which is like not helpful at all. But it's not it's not the Donkey Kong arcade game. It's a Donkey Kong like straightforward, has a campaign game. It was on the original Game Boy, and you can play it now on your Switch, and it has aged supremely well. But in my estimation, one of the better 2D platformers of all time. Really damn good game.
Nice. No, I don't think I played that one. If I did, I don't remember.
1994. Good game.
94. Sweet. This is a good question. We got a super chat over on the Hoeg side from Rainman. YYC 550 Canadian super chat.
Nice.
Dan, you want to?
Yeah. How about polling the panel on what game they think had the most profound negative impact on the industry? Oxenfree.
Also,
that game. So
get out of here, dude.
Or Life is Strange. Either one of them. Basically, anything with
just
a teenage
what are you talking about? Life is Strange is really good, guys.
Like, did anything ever set anything back?
Life is Strange has some strange things to say about student-teacher relationships.
Yeah, it really does.
It's aptly named.
Yeah.
I would probably say again, Grand Theft Auto 3.
Nice.
I mean, I think it really spun the industry.
Negative impact.
Yeah, I think it really spun the industry into seeking out open worlds where they don't make sense for what the game is that they're trying to make, and creating this kind of busy work mentality for video games that I really don't think existed before that open world push.
Crazy.
I'll say Destiny. Ooh.
Yeah, that was my other choice.
Destiny. Pushing people towards live service where it doesn't belong, and trying to capitalize on what Bungie did by making everything a ongoing project, especially in the console space. Big mistake.
I don't know if that was Destiny. I think that.
I know. I'm just saying it because you're on the panel, but
I think it's Destiny. Yeah. I think Destiny's certainly the one that encouraged people to go seek out that live services money.
I mean, without Destiny, we don't get Anthem in its form, right? In the form that it came, or other games. I mean, Destiny definitely inspired a lot of change in the industry, I would say. Good, probably good and bad to a degree.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good there. I think
Oblivion.
There's a lot of good there. There's a lot of live service games a lot of people like that I don't think would exist without Destiny. But
yeah, whatever the first live service game, let's just go with that. And
yeah.
I'm gonna be extremely right now. You guys ready for me to be extremely spicy?
Hold on. Someone said, and Dan just said it too, like horse armor in Oblivion when they first unveiled paid horse armor.
Oh, that's interesting because I don't know that they were I think they were the first one to be ridiculous with the specific thing they sold. But wasn't EA doing microtransactions by that point and had done some other stuff? Maybe I'm misremembering.
Horse armor is certainly where I remember the microtransaction discussion centering. I don't remember anything before that
because it was such a ridiculous example. But I think they were following what at the time was becoming a trend with the Xbox Live Marketplace and people selling piecemeal content on it.
Tondo says Overwatch brought loot boxes.
Well,
that's a pretty damn good one.
Boxes.
Yeah, those existed before, but yeah, they brought them to major console and PC gaming. I'm gonna be hella spicy, y'all. The Last of Us.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Especially looking at that GQ list. It's
The Last of Us had a very good positive impact on the industry in that, it drew a lot of people into it. It created one good game, but I think the long-term, far-reaching negative consequences of that game was the games industry chasing after the movie industry and Hollywoodification of video games, and now prestige games are only thought of as third person, over the shoulder, super serious, tonally suffocating games that run counter to what I like about video games, which is like fun and levity and some of the stuff that like the Tears of the Kingdom lives in. Yeah, Zelda.
Basically all the games that I like.
Well,
yeah. So I was just gonna say,
on Last of Us. You put that on Last of Us more than like Uncharted. You think?
Because Last of Us made Uncharted, then Uncharted 4 start to chase that dragon.
Well, Uncharted 4 is, yes, Naughty Dog has been chasing that for a while, but you want to tell me Last of Us is a problem because it destroys Naughty Dog, I'll listen. But is it the first cinematic game that moves in that direction? I think Uncharted, the team that makes Jak and Daxter making Guy Runs in Jungle is probably the more significant move towards that Hollywoodification.
My problem with laying that at the feet of Uncharted is Uncharted, to me, up until 3, still felt very much like a game that felt like a video game because it had levity and over-the-top stuff, and it didn't try to go for like grounded realism that is like what I would say way more Hollywood. It had like an action thing, but it was sort of the silly video game adjacent. There was some overlap in the Venn diagram of things you like about movies and games. And
the tone, you're really concerned about tone.
Yeah, it's the tone, because if you play Uncharted 3, which it was the most blockbustery game before Last of Us, and then you play Uncharted 4, you can see the impact. It's like
you don't have to tell me about Uncharted 4. As soon as they play that slow version of the theme song, I'm like, what?
Yeah, like one version is like, we just sucked all the things you love out of this franchise to make it more like Last of Us, and the other one is silly and fun and things are exploding and it's chaotic. And I think that it's the combination of the things that Last of Us did right, but the big problem is Last of Us, how successful it was. The fact that it was so successful that everyone in the industry
and continues to be.
Yeah, and that's the one that we should chase. And then they've released it multiple times. They've made sequels. They've put it on television. Like all the things you could do to just like push the industry in that direction. And it's all the stuff that makes me cringe about the industry, because I just don't think that we should try to be Hollywood, because I think
Travis has convinced me with his answer.
I think so too. It's a good argument. It's a good argument.
Certainly its appearance on the GQ list, I had very much the similar reaction. It's like, no, I don't want that.
See, and I adore Last of Us. I'm one of those that has it in my top 10.
We all like
I really enjoyed Last of Us.
It's an unintended consequence. It's not like the people at Naughty Dog blame for this. It's like they did something really well and people have been chasing it. And for me, it's a chase in the opposite direction I want the industry to move in.
Yeah. Well, yes. And I think we've expressed our concerns. Probably Dan is maybe the holdout on this point, but with the direction that even took PlayStation as a whole, right? You can see it in games like Ragnarok and other games where obviously they're more focused on these kind of narrative sections than they are the game itself, which is problematic. So yeah, I think you've probably convinced me as well. I would say that fortunately,
spicy answer.
Fortunately, we do have games like Elden Ring, and to your guys' point, Tears of the Kingdom and other games that I think, really focus on just giving a player this thing to get lost in that is very gamey. The industry's big enough to support both. But I can see your argument.
So Sony needs to put out new Astrobot games. Come on, Sony.
Dude, seriously. Give us an Astrobot full platformer. Like, come on.
Sly Cooper, man. That's
Sly Cooper, Jack. I loved all those. Jak and Daxter, give me Banjo. God damn it. And
I love Sly Cooper. I'd rather have Sly Cooper than Ghost of Tsushima, but I like Ghost of Tsushima, so I can't really complain that much.
Yeah. So Rob Frawley second says, I think there's room for both. You're 100% right. There is room for both.
That's what I just said.
The industry can do both. And you actually see that in the industry, but it's the same argument for people that say Destiny ruined the industry. It's like there's room for live service games and not, but you see that sometimes some games push the industry to like over chase a specific segment of it.
I think you said it well. You said unintended consequence.
Yeah, right? I think Destiny's obviously unintended. Destiny would love to be the only live service game, but when you're successful, people want to replicate that, right? And I think that some people, I would actually agree with the idea when people say that the market is oversaturated with live service and too many are trying to do it. I think that's 100% true. I say I love live service games. Please stop making them. And I think that's true. And you can also love The Last of Us and you can love Ghost of Tsushima and also say I'm seeing this way too much. Please stop doing it as much. But that's the trouble you put yourself in when you have a successful game. Is the industry's going to go where the money's at, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I think Last of Us is a good answer because I think it also blew up Naughty Dog. I don't think Naughty Dog has made things that I like very much since.
Yeah. Even though to Travis's point, they're celebrated, right? They're making the money.
Yeah, they make the money.
I think you're going to see the same thing with Insomniac. I think that Spider-Man is going to be the game that
agree.
Yeah, I think Sunset Overdrive is going to be the last game that feels like an Insomniac, unique game because now they're working on it.
You don't give Rift Apart credit.
Yeah, right.
That?
Like nobody plays Ratchet and Clank.
Right. Yeah,
everything. Like everybody always forgets that game. Everybody's always like, "Oh gosh, these new consoles."
Yeah,
I agree. That's a big agree. But I do think Spider-Man is so big. It's very clear their focus has been on Spider-Man 2. They announced Wolverine way ahead of time for that reason. Like they're capitalizing in that comic space, which
I just
again,
you're going to see
a lot of people love.
You're going to see less of that original identity Insomniac had because now they're they're the studio that makes like really high budget Marvel games. And as much as I love Marvel, I just, to me, that's not the stuff I love from Insomniac. I like stuff like Rift Apart and Sunset Overdrive and the weird stuff that they're known for. So
Resistance, damn it.
Oh, I hate
All
Resistance.
right, boys.
Make that game again.
Stop it.
Oh, Resistance.
Terrible. Bad shooter. Come on.
That's another chase game, right? They're chasing Call of Duty and Modern Warfare with Resistance. I never thought Resistance came together totally well. I really did like Resistance 2 multiplayer, but that's not what anybody talks about.
Yeah, that's what I played that quite a bit.
I like BioShock 2 multiplayer, like the forgotten multiplayer games of the world. Although
it was not that bad. I like BioShock multiplayer.
It's not bad. It's sort of like the Assassin's Creed multiplayer that we.
Oh, I love that.
I know.
Resistance 2 multiplayer, for those that didn't play it, was a class-based multiplayer versus environment type game that I don't think anybody really followed up on in terms of the threads that it created.
Yeah. Hoeg loves class warfare.
Played it. And that's a great comment to end on. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. A little bit of a shorter show today. It is Mother's Day here. And like we said, pretty slow news week. Everyone wants to get back to playing Zelda or Diablo. We know how it goes. Couple things to talk about. So next week, don't forget, is episode 250. It's our trivia special. Give it a couple minutes, Travis. Trivia special. Travis is hosting. We will hold him to that. We'll have some great guests with us next week. Should be a lot of fun. I hope you can
Star Control 2 questions, Travis.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go. Just don't ask me them.
I will rig all of the questions to be specific to Hoeg's fancies.
Just deep Halo lore is what I'm looking for.
What popular PC 4X franchise took massive chunks of the plot of Star Control 2 for its own campaign?
Dr. Halsey.
Galactic Civilizations. all of my trivia answers are going to be opinion based. What is the worst video game of all time? And then you
just give us a point score based on what you think.
You guys are all wrong. It's this answer. And then you're like, wow, this is really upsetting.
I like how we can give it away as if that will be a question.
Right. So it should be a lot of fun next week. I hope you can join us. We won't be talking next week, but when we come back, obviously, we'll have a lot more to talk about. Travis and I, reminder, we're both reviewing Diablo 4. We are also, at that time, when we come back, we'll be able to talk about the new Outlast game, which we can't talk about right now.
We can say we're
Yeah. I mean, we're playing it, but we can't say anything about it. So more to come on that. I will be posting a video after a week or two of these. This is the Audeze Maxwell headset, new one for PC and PlayStation 5 or PC and Xbox. Very high-end, high-quality audio gaming headset. It's fantastic. I'll have a review on that. And then, it should be a good time. But Travis, what you got going on, man? Oh, sorry, one more thing. I'm going to do my best to stream Romancevania tomorrow. Nice. Monday night, as we're recording this. So Monday night, yes, I wanted to do it last night. Something came up, and I'm mad that I haven't gotten back to it. So tomorrow night, hopefully, you guys can swing by. You can find me on Twitch doing that. Sorry, Travis, go for it.
Yeah, I've got a review of the Outlast Trials going live this week at some point. I've got Diablo 4, which I'm going to begin my review of also this week, getting early access to it. And Ains, I just learned a very unfortunate news this week that our progress will not carry over to the final game, so we are going to have to beat the entire game. We're gonna have to beat the entire game in 2 weeks and then start over level 1. Good times. So yeah, get ready for that to be unfortunate. And then yeah, I'm working on some coverage of Dungeons and Dragons that I can talk about on in a couple weeks. Not allowed to talk about now. And then also got some other preview stuff that I don't think I can even mention what the game is or what studio it's for, but I've got some really cool stuff. I'm going to be traveling, going to different studios. I'm really happy to be getting out of the house and going to studios in person recently. It's been a lot of fun. I've missed it. And yeah, you can follow me at Ty Guy Travis if you want to see all of that stuff, because I always tweet all of my stories. And if you like my 25-year-old youthful content, you can find it there. There you go, guys. Good times.
Fair enough.
McClunky.
Excellent. Hoeg,
I don't have a mother, but
well, I continue my parade of medical appointments, but I have been discharged from physiotherapy, so we're getting there. I don't know when I'll be doing.
Is that when you can sense the history of objects?
Yeah, if I'm Cal Kestis. So yeah, the physio is the running and the walking and the gross motor skills, and then I'm still in occupational therapy for hand and arm stuff. But as I continue down that path, I get to remove medical appointments from my schedule, and so I should be getting back to making more videos pretty soon. But we just finished our fundraiser. We just finished the Stroke series, and then, you know, it's not like anything's happened in the world of legality in video games, right? So we'll be getting back to making videos pretty soon. So if you like talking about video games and law, come on over to Virtual Legality. Come on over to the HoegLaw YouTube channel, because there's basically no one else talking about it. So you might as well hang out with me.
Fair enough. Fair
like to ferry.
Dan had something come up at home. He has kind of pinged us privately here. So he says, goodbye. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. And like I said, we'll be back next week, normal time next week for episode 250. Like I said, for the trivia special. Hope to see you then. Otherwise, have a good rest of the happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And have a good week gaming. Enjoy your Tears of the Kingdom. And we will see you. Oh, no. I'm sorry. We got a super chat literally right now, like as I'm closing the show. Apologies.
Read the room. Super chat.
So, with the Polish Zatka, I believe we said 25. In my opinion, the most impactful game is either Doom or Quake. Half-Life, Counter-Strike, Unreal Tournament, Team Fortress are linked to Doom and Quake. He or she is not wrong. And that's why it's funny when I said younger person, Travis, may not understand the impact Doom had on the industry.
Okay,
That's why I brought it up.
That's silly. Come on. Yeah, everybody knows the impact.
No, they don't.
I do.
Well, you're not everybody. You're one person.
All right. Well, there can be smart people who are young who understand the history of things.
Fair enough. Good comment. Thank you for the late super chat. And I agree with you. And we'll go ahead and hide that. We're going to get out of here now. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Peace.